format is going to be, every 20 minutes we'll skip the question, so we won't conversation, and we'll be having these windows of conversation. Yeah, Malvika, I'm unable to unmute your microphones. Is it either of you able to unmute yourself?
Yeah, I'm on unmute, Prayas. I can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me.
Yeah.
Acha. Akshay and Malvika, I think you'll have to rejoin in order to untune your microphones. Akshay and Malvika, please unjoin to kind of unmute your microphones. So our first question is, are we stuck in the frames of a perspective, or is there any possibility of getting through? Are we incapable of communication, of actually listening to each other's story, or whatever that might be? Or is it possible to communicate?
Are you rephrasing the question about frames and perspective?
Yeah. I'm expanding the question. I'm reframing it. I'm essentially saying, is it possible for us to share our experience, or isn't? It's not. What do you think?
I would think that an experience is shared to begin with, because it's always between two things or 2 points.
Right. So the experience is between 2 points.
Yeah. So the experience is between the 2 points. So for it to be shared, it has to be between 2 points. And since it's only between 2 points, it is therefore inherently shared.
No, but between 2 points is also a sharing.
Between 2 points is also a sharing.
Yeah, so you said that experience is between 2 points, and I'm saying that
an experience occurs in that space between something.
And the actor, the 2 points themselves are not included. You're saying just the space in between?
It's created in that space in between.
Yeah, so, and the points are not included. You're saying that, yeah, right? I mean, that's what you're saying.
Yeah, no, the points would be included, because without...
Oh, they would be included.
Yeah.
But, so if they are included, then the space in between can be considered to be a shared space.
Yeah, it is a shared space.
So then you are saying that for experience to be shared, it would already need to be shared.
Yeah, to begin with, it's already shared. It's about how many more points do you want to put into that?
Oh, we want to expand the scale of sharing.
Yeah, I guess the scale, that would be.
Acha, so why does experience...
And I think that question, can you rephrase your question? Do we need to
is it possible to? Is it possible to... is there any possibility of getting through? Are we stuck in the frames of our perspectives, or is there any possibility of getting through? That's the question, the first question, which we are going to talk about for the next 20 minutes.
Okay.
So today we have,
Do we have other people on this forum today?
Yeah. Hi Vineet, hi Satya, hi Malvika, hi Akshay.
Hi.
Hi all.
Hi Malvika. Hello.
So where we are is really back to the question, and our question is, are we stuck in the frames of our perspectives, or is there any possibility of getting through?
I think we are not stuck. I think it's a wrong... we are not stuck.
You think it's possible to communicate?
I think, yeah, it is. It is. But you cannot always leave the perspective. I think you only communicate when you are shifting between the two perspectives. So, so there is a maybe a small gap area which where your communication can leak out.
Is it leak? When you say leaking, it sounds like an accident.
Ah,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
what I was gonna
I
say.
didn't intend to say it's an accident, but some like
Okay.
you get a chance. You get a chance at the door.
Okay. There's a crack.
The what we had I think last time discussed the edge. You just get
Yeah.
that, yeah, the just the momentary glimpse where from where you can communicate, but you can communicate.
Yeah.
So it's not an accident. So it didn't mean like you leak out
It's
without
some,
knowing. But
yeah,
Okay.
it's without our knowledge. So in the sense it is an accident. So
So
how
can
can
there
it
be
be
an
an accident?
intentional shared experience? Can there be an intentional coming out of the frame? And then also there was some questions I was discussing with Prayas. What is the frame in this situation?
So the frame in this
whereas I think it's
situation
the
would be, huh?
Our perspective, right?
And
Yeah,
how do we
it's
frame our
everything which we
perspective?
can.
What
So
frames the
we
perspective? Because I
everything
don't know
that we
what
can
frames my
experience.
perspective.
So all of
But
your
then you are
experience.
saying that our perspective is unfiltered. Basically, it's just open to receiving, and receptivity is it's at its peak. It's just open. It's completely open.
Well, I think perspective is depends on the construction of the object.
And is useful. Right.
So, I mean, if you have a certain amount of receptors on your object, so there is skin, there is sensing mechanisms, all of those coming together, they take the inputs, and that frames the perspective, in my opinion.
Right. Well, that's interesting. So how would you say that, Malvika? How is your perspective framed? Like, would you recognize the frame of your perspective?
I mean, everything we experience is our perspective. So we can only experience our own perspective. How can we experience something that is, you know, that we are not exposed to?
no, it can be read in a way in like real architectural terms also that you are walking in a street and what you see is a conscious perspective, but many times over roaming around the area you have another of the same area geography. In case I'm just giving an example.
Yeah, but at a given point of time, our frame of perspective is defined.
Yes.
Or what we are aware of.
Yeah, so what we are aware of is finite in a given point of time.
Right.
So, Tanya, that's what we are referring to. So, if your frame has finite amounts of information
Right.
and you're only experiencing a frame because you cannot experience where you are not, right? You can only experience the here and now. That's what we were talking about that day.
Right.
And so,
But so what you are saying is, so the here and now, does the here and now include the past?
The here and now happened because of the past, so it does.
Right. And is there a way that the past can transform itself into the present?
I think it's constantly doing it.
Right. That's interesting because I think I was speaking to Prayas earlier this week, and we were sort of arguing that the here and now has nothing to do with the past, with Prayas holding that it has nothing to do with the past. And yesterday I was at an event where we were doing a reading of Marcel Proust, and he talks about the involuntary invocation of memory. via different smells and basically the olfactory system. So when we're talking about the here and now, like Malvika agrees, the past is continuously sort of integrated into the present.
So I can
So
see
how can
both.
the
Now that you mentioned it, now I'm seeing the other thing where, I mean, we don't have immediate access to the past at this moment. It's
right,
gone,
right,
but it has transformed itself. So
right.
technically, this is not the past, but
Yeah,
But if
technically we only have the here and now.
yeah,
We
exactly.
we don't have any access to the past. It's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, the past only exists as a experience. Right? It just
As
as
a
a
memory,
memory,
As a
as a
memory of
memory.
an
memory.
experience.
yeah.
But oh
But it
gaya
exists.
na. Yeah, it's
Uh,
Yeah.
gone. It's in a time
Ah,
past.
So what you are
I'm not
saying,
saying.
Prayas, is that the here and now are tangible, yeah, and the memory is an ephemeral,
Yeah,
and
because memory
untangible.
can very easily be fiction. I mean, we don't really know if we remember something or if we
So are you
made it
saying
up.
that the here and now is not a fiction, and the here and now is it's present, it's finite, and at the same time it's completely tangible.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay,
tangible in the sense that it's accessible.
right. So what is your here and now at this given moment?
So my here and now is, this room, this chair that I'm sitting on. It's it's not just my physical reality in that sense. It's also my frame of mind, and my frame of mind is a
But when you
specific
speak about
finite.
the frame
Yeah.
of mind, will not the frame of mind be an untangible mass of something, right? And
No,
would
it's
not
very
that frame of
tangible.
mind?
It's all molecular. It's all tangible.
Hmm. Right.
it is also tangible in the sense if I was pissed off right now, my
Hmm.
frame would not be, I would not, that's one frame of mind. So that's pretty tangible.
Right. So what I'm
So,
not understanding is that
yeah.
how does the past not have that same sort of bearing in our frame of mind that the present has?
Because that physicality is gone, right? So the molecular reality of the past doesn't exist. There is no molecule in the head which is not here and now,
Okay.
because everything in the here and now is in the here and now.
And what is the duration of here and now?
The duration of now, yeah, so that's something which is variable, right? So
Yeah.
what is the speed of your experience might not be the speed of my experience. For me, things might really happen slowly.
So what if
Yeah,
I am
No,
to
exactly.
I
say,
think
It,
I will give it a
it,
better definition. It's almost like the food in your stomach right now. Here and now is that. The duration it enters your mouth till it exits your body. It's the duration of here and now. It's one way of.
to me,
that's
here
one
and now is
duration?
zero to infinity. To me,
Hmm.
here and now, it's like I can feel nothing. I can experience nothing, or it's all there for me to experience.
Right.
Which
Yeah, yeah,
how
that's
much how
that's
much can how much can I divide the moment? It's how much can I divide?
Exactly. And for me, I would say that the now is completely continuous. What if I'm to say that I don't differentiate between now and the past? What if it's just a continuation of now?
You mean to say, what if the present is continuous with the past?
Yeah, what if I never paused? You were speaking about there is no pause. So what if
But how can you
yesterday's
do that? I mean, what about time? The
because
passage of
for
time.
the passage of time,
Yeah.
time is like a very haunting question altogether. We can start
No,
discussing
but
what
if you're
time is
talking
for.
of past and present, what determines the two is time. And if you're talking of
So
perspective,
right, right,
another,
right. So what I'm
yeah,
saying is that what if time is not linear?
it doesn't have to be, but it still is going to differentiate what you think of as a past or a future or a present. And
Hmm.
um, when we're talking of perspective, I would imagine that something that is uh, not any of these can also be a perspective.
Right. Not any of what.
The past, present, or the future.
Right. They can
Something
be.
that is without a definition of time.
Right. Right.
What happens to, I mean, how do we define ideas?
But are you saying that ideas, how do we define ideas in the sense that ideas exist in multiple zones of time? You're saying that ideas don't exist in a
Time.
singular frame of time?
I think they can traverse through multiple zones. They don't have to be specific. But I'm pitching idea against experience.
Idea against experience.
Yes. So when you talk of experience, then it becomes very time specific, like what we are, where we are now, what we are doing now, and what we are experiencing. And when I talk of idea, you can conceive or conceptualize a situation that does not need to be defined either in the past or the present or a future. It is just a situation in a certain time.
But then we'd be talking about something different then, right? We would no longer be talking about experience. We would be talking about ideas.
Yeah, I mean, ideas and experiences are not interchangeable. So
They're not.
how?
But if you talk of perspective, my question is, why are you only looking? The reason I'm bringing this up is because of today's question being whether we are stuck in our own frames of perspective.
Right.
The idea of being stuck can be applied if you're talking of experience.
Not
But you
in
could
the
be stuck in ideas.
yeah.
You can, or you can switch between the two.
Yeah.
You can switch between ideas and experiences,
Yes.
but are they the same thing?
I don't know. I haven't thought
I mean,
about that.
even when you're thinking of
Can
an
I-
idea, your experience
Yeah,
is
exactly.
still
I was
there.
gonna say that
Go on, Tanya.
and can ideas lead to an experience, and can experience?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah. It's the same thing. It's the
Yeah.
same thing. Experience gives you idea and idea gives you the experience. So I think it's again the
Like they're
continuity in a way.
mutually linked.
But an idea is a summary of experience.
It
It's a
can be.
perspective.
It can be.
No, I mean,
Yeah, it can be either a synopsis or a conclusion. It can be either. Yeah.
yeah, which is shorthand for, I mean, it's in some form, ideas are more compressed, they're more, closely packed than
Yeah.
experiences are.
True. Yeah.
So, I mean, I wouldn't think of them as inhabiting the same time.
But what does it do to perspective?
Idea seems to be perspective.
No, I think how Prayas put it, it's kind of a summary. It's not really the perspective. It's kind of a summary.
Summary is one thing. Idea of something is one thing. Okay, but the idea of what's happening to me now, or the ideology of being a socialist, therefore I see the world in this particular way.
That can be a perspective in a perspective, but that can't be a perspective.
But that is still a perspective then, if it is a perspective on a perspective.
Yeah, but it is through your perspective. So I think there is a window in a window, something like this.
But the idea is also mine only, which came through my physicality.
Yeah, but the first game is the perspective. No, I'm not saying that it is not, but I'm just saying that it is again interlinked in a way.
Can I ask a very basic, fundamental question, just for my own understanding from the group? How is a perspective formed?
That was our...
Yeah, that's what we
The
talked
15
about
hours.
last time, but
Yeah, but just again
yeah, but
maybe
the
to.
perspective would be the aggregation of everything that you can possibly experience.
Hmm.
So it's the
Right.
aggregate, it's your frame, it's the
So
bubble in which you exist.
to know our perspective, do we need to be outside of ourselves? Do we need distance from the situation?
Yeah, we spoke about that last time as infinity.
Okay. So in that space that is infinity.
I
That
mean, if it were to exist, I mean, so this time I'm really in this frame of mind, which is that I don't want to escape into the meta.
Right.
So it's like this,
Yeah,
if I
we
can.
have resolved it last time, and we should stick to it that we don't go on in the meta for sure.
No,
but
yeah, I
I
mean,
think that it's already begun with the meta, so how do you bring the meta to something else?
no, but the perspective is not meta.
Okay.
I
It's
mean,
very specific.
Okay.
should we
How is
talk about
perspective?
psychology then?
How?
So for me, a frame or perspective is quite psychological. It's like that's the physicality. It's not abstract anymore. It's
Ye-
you know.
Yeah, it's your psyche.
Or like if I had OCD, this is how I do things. You know. So this is how I look at things, and this is my frame of vision for the world, where I clean my hands 5 times.
So that's
That's
your frame of
that's
reference.
that's physiological as well, I think.
Yes, yes, physiological, yes.
I don't know if you can, I don't know, how would you link that to perspective? I thought perspective would be more cognitive.
But see, my physiology informs my cognition, is what I feel like. Like, if I'm in pain
Hmm.
and I'm constantly in pain, and I look at the world, and the world is not made for people who are in pain. The world is made for more average people.
Hmm.
So in that
And
sense, I
we are
think,
switching our question. Second question for the day is what is refraction? Can we shift from one perspective, one frame to the other,
Hmm.
or we can't? And can this shift be seen as refraction?
so can we switch frames, and can this switch be seen as refraction?
Yeah.
So would you define, Prayas? I think it's very interesting that now this set of studies is called refraction. It would be nice to define a little bit what is refraction in a way.
Yeah, that's the question. What is refraction? And can the shift be called refraction or something else? I mean, what
See,
is
I
refraction?
believe refraction is what the prism does to a white light, no, isn't it? I think it
What does refraction do to the perspective?
Refraction is what you just did to the conversation.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Exactly. And exactly, and also I just wanted to say that the thing that I was talking about, it was very interesting that Prayas brought that question there, because I was talking about a person being in pain and looking at the world. The
Yeah.
world is not made in that format. But if I'm just an average person who goes through the world as an average person, but now somebody is telling me that they are in pain, and I need to understand how they are feeling,
Hmm.
maybe to empathize, maybe to care for them, whatever,
Yeah.
then I have to switch my perspective. I have to change my frame to their frame somehow.
True.
Yeah, empathy. So
Yeah.
empathy should be possible. Is it
Yeah.
possible?
In my opinion, yes.
Is it genuinely possible? I mean,
I don't know. I think it's individual. Do
Yeah.
you think some people are more capable of empathy and some people just don't have it?
yeah, some people are better actors.
but I think it is genuinely possible.
Yeah.
No, how can you be so sure?
I mean, we
Uh,
can only talk from our own experience,
Yeah,
and
but how do we know we are empathizing when we are empathizing? We haven't
Like say
validated
if
it.
I have gone through that experience, what the person in front of me is going through, I can really empathize. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, but your empathy will not communicate to you that person's real experience.
that is
Or
true. That
yeah,
part is true.
No, that you are talking about entering somebody else's frame. No, we can come to the point of touching his frame, but we cannot go into his frame.
No, so refraction is not empathy because we are talking about refraction as the switch from one frame to the other.
No, but
Yeah.
empathy is also a switch. Empathy is also a switch. I'm not saying that I know exactly what's going on in that person's head. I'm saying my frame was like this. Now it has shifted a bit.
I
For
think
all,
yeah, go on.
I'm saying, if I only know to live in if I only know to look at the world in a particular way, but now something has caused it to shift a bit. That is a shift. I don't know how exactly it is for somebody else. I only know what is inside my head.
And again,
So
it brings to doubt your point that what is genuine then. Like, matlab, I can only genuinely validate myself, no?
Yeah, I'm not,
no,
no,
when I'm looking into the night sky, what I'm looking at is the far off star. But I'm only looking at the reflection of the past into the present.
right.
So I can empathize, but I'm only simulating what someone else's frame is within the limitations of my own frame.
So you're questioning the word empathy itself.
Yeah, I
So
mean it's a symbol. I mean it's a link. So in language we use the word empathy for this guy is at least trying to empathize. In trying to empathize, there is a gray zone.
there is, but the trial is important, is it not?
Yeah, because
I can
it
never know.
stretches your limits. It stretches your
Exactly.
limits. I mean,
Exactly. Yeah. At stretching my limits, I'm at least trying, which means
yeah,
I'm
but
moving,
so
I'm
it's
shifting.
important. It's important, but it's not shifting a frame. I'm just saying that.
No, I'm saying it
So is
is
that
shifting a
gray
frame.
zone, can that
It is.
gray zone be a connector? And that's what refraction is, that when you're shifting, somehow you also want that connection.
And
Yeah.
I think that way you are locking the frame too harsh. That though again, as we are saying, no, we cannot go into anybody's else frame. We can only reach the edge.
Yeah.
So
No, but can we go into some? I mean, let's say we don't talk about the question of the actual shift and we don't try to qualify that, but let's say we just go into what would be a shift, what would be refraction. We just think loosely, we don't think with exactitude, we just kind of, I mean, do you think acting is a kind of refraction?
No, I
yes,
don't think
yes,
so.
I
Yeah,
think
why
it.
not? Why not?
I do
Yeah.
think it is. Yeah.
What does acting have to do with refracting?
Because you're transferring some of yourself into another frame.
Yeah, you're
But
assuming a
acting
different
is
identity.
it's not a, it's not an involuntary, it's not an involuntary
Yeah,
shift. Whereas I
Tanya,
would
but
say
it
a
can.
refraction is involuntary.
No, I think
I
it
Why?
don't
No,
can.
see
no,
it as
no. Why
involuntary.
does it have to be involuntary?
It's
Yeah.
usually an intervention, is what I would say. And whereas when one is acting, it's an act. It's a pre-planned activity. It's a sort of like pre-rehearsed, position that one is assuming.
But it is still a shift.
How is it a shift? It's an act. Is an
You
act
are
a
saying it's a
shift?
simulation. You are saying it's
Yeah.
simulation.
No, it's not a simulation. It's an act. An act is not a simulation.
What is an act?
An act is when one is in the context of an actor. It is to do with acting, which is to actually assume another personality. I don't think
But
refraction has to do with wholeness.
That's
What
that's
refraction does, it fragments the wholeness. It fragments the gestalt of the being. So would you say that an actor is fragmented?
You know
yeah,
that guy who played
creates
the Joker, that
it
guy, what's his
creates a
name? Heath Ledger or whatever, who played the Joker in the Batman movies, and then he killed himself saying that he was affected by it. So I guess, even if you put on an act, there could be a certain effect on the psyche.
yeah. Vineet, you do the same role for years together, lose their self, right? You were saying that you're saying something like that, right? Can you speak, Vineet? I mean, is your mic working? Okay, so yeah, maybe Vineet can't
So
use mic.
let us assume that acting is refraction, right? I mean, acting is a form of refraction. It's a form of being refracted. Then what would be the source of the light that is refracting? And what is the surface of acting?
So surface of acting is experience, because
The
that's
surface of
how.
acting is experience.
Yeah, so if somebody else is in the room while you're putting on an act, uh, they can experience that your presence has changed, right? So it's not something which just.
But to be an actor, does one have to know your biography, the actor's biography?
Why?
Because
No,
Why?
you need to
and
know the script. You need to know the script for sure.
no, so see, Prayas comes into a room, he is acting, right? And you have A, B, C, and they are the audience in the room. And is
Yeah.
Prayas saying that the surface of acting is the experience. Now, Prayas is already acting, then they don't know that Prayas is acting, right? What if they've not met Prayas before? So then for them, Prayas is not refracted. Prayas is who the actor is.
No, he is refracting the experience to them. It's totally on them how they are going to perceive it.
Yeah, because their experience of my presence is going to be different from their
Yeah,
experience of my presence outside the frame of acting. When I'm not
yeah.
acting, they would just experience me differently.
Mm.
So would they
Yeah.
experience you in parts, Prayas? Because as I understand scientifically, the understanding of the word refraction, it fragments the whole.
Yeah, so that's what you said yourself. You in your question, you were
Right.
asking
It
if
was rhetorical.
acting is like fragmentation, right?
Right,
And
right.
uh, and I would say yes. It is like fragmentation of the self in many ways, and fragmentation of light is what
So
you're
then
talking
you are
about,
saying
right?
that, so then is fragmentation and transformation, is there no difference between the two? Because acting is also a transformation, no?
Yeah, it is. But the way I see it, like if you take the script as a frame and an actor as somebody who gets refracted, so if you perform a script and if I perform a script, we are both going to refract ourselves, fragment ourselves into that particular role. And the way you do it is going to be certainly different from the way I do it. But it
Yeah,
is,
that's a good example.
it is
Mm.
after all the same frame that we are getting into.
So what is not acting?
That's a good question. And what is
I was
not
just going to say
refracting?
while we were talking that I think on a everyday basis there is a large part of us as what the world knows is actually a refracted surface.
Yeah, we have to put on all these social niceties and politeness and whatnot, right? So for
Yeah.
me, maybe that's not who we are, but we have to put it on.
New
No wonder
paradox says
Prayas did the
sleeping is
entire
not
talk series
acting.
refraction. Like,
Sleeping is not acting, new paradox says.
That would be true. So what New Paradox is saying is that when we are not conscious, we are not acting, and consciousness is an act. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, and we always, at least I complain about self-conscious acting on screen. So
Is there any subconscious?
Consciousness is not necessarily acting, but it's hard to not act or react to consciousness itself. So the acting part is the reacting part, really.
So, as I understand, an actor is a person portraying a character, right? Now, would you say that then that character,
Character
right?
is a summary. The idea of the character is a summary.
So, are you
It's
saying
a
that,
it's again a,
and if you are saying that the audience has a refracted experience of the actor, so that means the actor is
yeah.
basically not acting well enough because he's not portraying the character in a dramatic or a comic enough adaptation.
no, but there's
Yeah, but
as
the
many refractive surfaces as there are audience members. Everyone has their own experience of it.
That's true.
So say you go watch a play, right? And you come out and you say, okay, amazing. And here I'm looking at acting in a very sort of closed frame, which would be that, supposing that we are not acting right now, but one goes to a theater to act. It's the theatrical aspect of acting. So if you come out and you say that, okay, the person who played the role of Macbeth was an amazing actor, it was completely flawless. So the audience is then supposed that they've not got a refracted experience. It's a whole experience of the character Macbeth.
Yeah.
So then where is the refraction taking place then?
Yeah, you're right. So you're saying that in the acting, who I am when I'm not acting is also present.
No, I'm not saying that. I would say for an act to be successful, who you are without the act should not be present.
Yeah. I mean, you are saying that, yeah, exactly. Because if they're coming out with an experience of who Macbeth was without,
then that would be refraction for me, because that is two sort of things intersecting each other's path and refracting. Because then that's Prayas and the actor that Prayas is acting. The two things that are in flux, right? So maybe the act of acting is a refractive act. But perhaps
No, I think Tanya, here there is a little thing that what you are looking at, not having the reflection of the person in the act, is you are looking at the pure end result of the splitting of the white light. But what happens in between the surface of, say, the prism is actually the act of refraction. So the light crossing through the prism is what the script is passing through you.
Okay.
That's the process of refraction. That is, I mean, I guess you are talking about the process and Tanya is talking about the state.
Yeah,
perhaps. What I'm saying is that when she's saying that if one of the best acting would be that your own persona does not come into it, but that we are looking at the end.
Would that kind of acting be digital? So if I get to know someone only through Facebook, for example, and I'm only experiencing their presence through what they write, for example. I mean, it's only text. This guy never puts up pictures. It's always. So would you say that's the perfect act?
Interesting, because there are these machines, these computerized things that make music completely mechanically, and a lot of criticism for it is in fact the fact that they don't have an emotive quotient in them, or they would lack one. So this thing of being completely digital, being very pure.
No, Prayag, there is a flaw there. Like even what Malvika is noting, it at the end of the day, you had told me that there is always a program behind. Somebody had written a program. So even if somebody had written a code.
Behind what?
Behind, say, this what Malvika is giving the example of
digital music.
Yeah. So that code is a refracting surface.
You are saying that human intervention comes somewhere, and that human intervention is the refraction. When I try to communicate, I'm refracting.
Yeah.
But when you're talking of acting, the aspect of performance, through time, where human intervention is there right through every moment, I think that makes a big difference.
How does that make a difference?
Because the very fact that we are saying that human intervention is what defines the refraction, then if you are taking something that is pre-programmed, then the intervention occurs only in the beginning, and then it just follows suit. There is no improvisation in between, which is possible.
Even that can be inbuilt. Even improvisation can be built, but I think I see where you're going, Malvika, with human element.
Yeah.
The live element or that thing is not there. The soul is not there.
Yeah.
No, that again we are like going into the process. Like digital can be like really the process in a way, but the moment it enters a code, that's the surface where it has entered.
No,
So it
but
has
code
No,
is the
but
entered.
process. Code is the process. The output
Yeah,
is
so
the
it has entered through a soul. After that, what becomes of it, we are looking again as the end result. That's what I am saying. That say when through a prism you see a rainbow, we are talking about the rainbow right now. But what really happens through the prism is the refractive process.
process. Yeah,
So is
correct.
the code a perspective?
Sorry?
Is the code a perspective?
no, I mean, basically, we are talking about the digital then as a trigger and not as a state, right? So
Yeah.
when I responded to what Tanya said by saying that is the digital representation of presence then the perfect representation
Hmm.
because it doesn't involve anything except the act, right?
Right, right.
So basically, what we are saying now is that that's the trigger and not the end point of the result, and that it's a trigger for that human experience of an effort of communication. So when you are basically trying to push out something into other frames, when you really, I mean, that's why conversations are different in the nature from monologues, because I mean you can talk to yourself all you want, but it's not the same as talking to someone. I mean,
Right.
That's true.
So there's another thing. Is refraction only is it only like singular, or can there be multiple refractions?
so
Multiple.
yeah, I would think that the fragments that we consist of are the multiple refractive possibilities that we have.
Right. And they have the possibility to refract again. So refraction is infinite.
Yeah, but that doesn't help us.
Are we seeking help?
I guess we're
We
trying
are
to be.
seeking. Yeah, we're trying to help ourselves.
I thought we were tormenting ourselves here.
No, I think we are splitting the light. That's what we are.
That's true.
We're splitting hairs, I think.
Wait, didn't
Yeah,
someone on Facebook today posted that the light at the end of the tunnel is
Turn
a
as a
train?
train.
Metro,
So
yeah.
now we switch to the next question for the day. If refraction is a rule, can
Right.
we affect the degree of refraction that is caused by an experience?
If refraction is the rule, can we?
Affect the degree of refraction that is caused by an experience. So let's
yeah.
say,
I think
How do we measure degree?
if we are conscious of it, we can. Like what when we get drunk is a kind of going into a surface area where we are going to refract. Or when you smoke a joint or something, you are consciously trying to
no, but
enter the.
you can't measure it.
Yeah, you cannot measure. How can you
Yeah.
measure or gauge?
Yeah,
Me-
I mean, you cannot
measurement.
construct the effect.
Measurement will lead us into what Tanya was saying, that then we go into infinite. So I think maybe measurement is not the right idea, but the state is can be interesting to explore. The state of refraction.
Wait, so when you say effect the degree of refraction, that means we are consciously changing something.
Yeah. So can we cause an effect on the degree of refraction that is caused by experience of someone else, right?
I would
So
say if you are the source, right, the light source. So are you saying that to cause that change, right, to cause that effect, that degree, do you have to be the source of the refraction? Do you have to be the sort of surface, the plastic box that the thing is refracted off, or do you have to be the receptor?
yeah, so yeah, I'm basically putting it out there and saying, is the degree of refraction, can that be effective at all?
So you're talking about control. Can we control how we respond?
Yeah, can we control the effects? So we are in a complex system.
Can we
So
control how much how this is like refracted, the degree of refraction.
Yeah, the degree of refraction is what you're talking about.
No,
So,
we are talking about control. We are not talking about the degree of refraction.
no, we are talking about the degree of refraction.
I
So,
think they're the same.
No, they're not.
So basically, I think
control
Prayas is
control
saying
is one thing,
does
degree
one
is
have
another thing.
agency or not?
Yeah, that's what I was understanding. But
Yeah.
Prayas was saying that's not what it is.
yeah, no, I mean, agency is being able to effect at all, and the effecting the degree is
Okay.
is about effecting in a specific way. You know, it's not about if at all. It's about
Okay, so
if
we are
at all.
assuming control. So we are assuming agency.
Yeah, we're assuming agency.
Yeah.
So we can already act. We can already act, right? So, and as Tanya said, acting can be seen as a conscious activity. So, if acting is seen as a conscious activity, then
Right.
what is the possibility for manipulation to happen? Can I be specific about manipulation? Can I affect the degree of manipulation?
I think it depends on how much you have practiced, like how much of discipline you have, how much you've observed, how much you studied, and then
I think intent has a lot to play in over here. What is the intent, perhaps?
But yeah, so can intent yield results? So if I have an intent to manipulate, sure, but just because I have the intent to manipulate, do I succeed in manipulating?
exactly. I mean, the starting is intent, but then you have to know how to do
So
it.
I
So the
think, Prayas,
process.
what you are saying has to be applied to the here and now, without which it is too abstract a ground to converse about.
Okay, so and that is not okay. So you know we can't remain floating in abstraction because
Because right now what we're talking about is absolutes that are fragmented and then are then received by a sort of infinite wall. So we need to define maybe in the here and now, or what is an absolute here, what is refracted, what is the sort of box that is refracting, or what is the prism, and then
yeah. So
where is this going?
in the here and now,
Yeah.
in the here and now, what I am feeling, let's say my frame of mind.
Maybe we can begin with why are we here in this group? What are we doing? What is Sir Facial doing?
So we cannot talk about ourselves.
We can
talk about each other.
Yeah, we can talk about each other. So you know, because refraction is in the indoor. I mean, I'm just saying that if we don't get into really the here and now in terms of the pragmatics, you know, let's say we go beyond the pragmatics, but we still remain in the here and now, but at a very fundamental level, So in my actual being, in my being right now, you know, I'm being before the computer, before the screen, before Google Hangouts, before everything. I'm still sitting on a chair, and if I mean, I still exist, and that is fundamental, right? So if you are saying that let's talk about the here and now, I would say how would my frame of mind be able to change your frame of mind? Can my frame of mind change your frame of mind?
Yeah, I would say that your frame of mind has already changed my frame of mind.
How did it do that?
I was listening to the Antlers before this, and now I'm listening to you.
So you are saying it's possible?
Yeah, of course it's possible. I think our frame of mind is continuously shifting.
No, but can I affect your frame of mind in a specific way?
Can you?
We're talking about manipulation.
Yeah. Can I manipulate you into feeling that you are the emperor of the world?
So now you are mixing up with frames of mind, with feelings, emotions, experiences, ideas.
No, but frame constitutes all of those things together.
Yeah, no, I agree that's agreed upon. But so Prayas, what is it that I guess then here again the question goes back to intent. What is your intent with wanting to shift my frame of mind or another frame of mind?
No, but
Let's
that's
say,
not the question. The question
yeah,
is, can it be done?
yeah.
But for it to be done, there has to be an intention, and there has to be somebody who is willing to let that intent.
No, you are assuming that I'm a rational being. Let's say I'm not.
Yeah, you know, if you have a psychopath and they just
Yeah,
want to play with things.
yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, let's say, I mean, intent is a luxury. You can't question someone कि आपने
So
ये,
then
yeah,
it also depends on the mind or the strength of the other frame, right?
yeah,
And when I said discipline and practice, I talked about I was meaning strength of mind in the sense if you are able to control yourself, if you're able to control where your thoughts go or what you're doing with it, there is a possibility of figuring out how much you can allow yourself to be manipulated.
right. So you would place the possibility of manipulation entirely on the receptor side.
Not
Just
necessarily.
yesterday,
I mean,
we
both
had
ways.
this conversation that does everybody here agree that senses are not absolute, like our sensory receptors are not absolute, they're not finite, and at the same time, they're not accurate. Are they accurate? I'm asking, are they accurate? Can they be trusted? Definitely not, right?
No,
Yep.
yeah, they can't be trusted. Yeah, they can't be trusted. Our senses can't be trusted.
Everything is an approximation.
So, yeah, from the limitations of our senses, we approximate the
Reality.
we approximate the world.
Prayas, you were earlier talking about putting all the onus on the receiver
Yeah.
in the act of manipulation.
Yeah, so I mean, when you were saying that discipline and you know the ability to be aware of the degree of manipulation that you're allowing.
Yeah.
When you said that, it places it makes manipulation more of a receptor's game than a manipulator's game.
To a certain extent, yes. I mean, the manipulator might want to manipulate and they do what they do, which is in their nature, or maybe it's an act of some kind.
But isn't that nature a skill which basically goes beyond my filters? Otherwise, why would he be successful? Why would the manipulator be successful if the manipulator would not be able to think outside my filters, think in spite of my filters?
So you're saying the manipulator is able to figure out the subject, the receiver, better
Yeah.
than the receiver can.
Yes.
Yeah, in the sense that you know your filters are already decoded, and what you can't outthink is what the manipulator will do. Otherwise, the manipulator will just will just go extinct.
Then that it does put the onus on the receiver then.
How?
The act of manipulation is being perpetrated by the manipulator, but he's just sending it out into the world and trying to look for he or she is looking for victims or the receivers. But the surface of the receiver has to respond to that ray of light coming out from the manipulator. And there are different ways of responding to that ray of light coming out from the manipulator.
Yeah, and your response, you are saying that the response decides the success of the transaction, right? I
Correct.
mean, in
Yeah,
yeah.
correct.
So you are saying that puts it back on on the receptor.
It seems to put it there, yes, at this point, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there's no judgment here, it's just observation.
No, that's
Yeah,
true because then the surface of the receiver will define the effect of the refraction.
Correct. Like, how thick is this prism? How is
Yeah.
it shaped?
Yes.
right. So we are saying, let's say, uh, in the course of this conversation, we have agreed that refraction is indeed possible. We have agreed on what is refraction.
I would think that refraction is not something that can be controlled. It's outside of our control.
Yeah, I can see that.
But that
Yeah,
kind of contradicts what we just arrived at.
Because as we speak right now, if I'm saying something and everybody present here is the wall that the final refraction sort of refracts upon. But right now, yeah, the surface, right now, somebody is speaking, and as I'm speaking, what I'm saying is already refracted. So this continuous refraction.
Yeah, I see it as a world full of prism in a way.
Yeah.
I'm not sure
So
if
Prayas, I would say that refraction is a rule.
so. Is refraction a rule? Was our
Yeah.
If
second question.
no, if refraction is a rule, is the third question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you are saying you are agreeing that refraction is a rule.
Yeah, I'm agreeing that I'm saying that refraction is an underlying principle.
So
Yeah,
it's too fundamental a state to talk about because it
No,
is
it's not too fundamental to talk about because it's great to talk about the fundamental things.
so but if it is fundamental,
In the context that we are putting it in, I would say refraction is fundamental to to the sort of act of shifting each other's or affecting each other's frame.
yeah. So I essentially was interested in talking about refraction because I
What
think
is the Prayas? What would be the opposite of refraction?
yeah. So that's what I was explaining. So let's say the refraction is a fundamental idea, then
A black hole.
uh,
no, I think what Neo Paradox says it's right. The other thing of refraction is reflection. You don't
No,
take the
it's
light.
lossless. It's lossless transmission.
yeah, it's a no
Yeah,
generation loss.
yeah, it can be that also. Yeah. So
So
you
So
become
is the
transparent.
contemporary a fragmented disposition given that refraction is fundamental?
yeah, so it brings us to the object which calls itself the art object, right? And if refraction is not immediate, uh, if refraction is not fundamental, then we would have to accept.
But another thing, Prayas, what you are saying is that for there to be refraction, right? You are saying that there exists somewhere the ideal, the truth, the whole, the gestalt, right? Because if there is no whole, there is no truth, then there is no refraction. Because then what is refracting?
The
Yeah,
truth is what the sender is sending.
Yeah, so I mean, we're not defining a meta truth. We're not saying that.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just saying
This is
that.
this is individual perspective truth, right?
हाँ मतलब if
Like it's
someone.
not platonic.
No, it's not platonic. It's like if you're saying something, I will hear it. It's just that, right? But if you're not saying something, how can I hear it?
Hmm.
But you need to say something, right? So, and that saying something is a rule because you just said that refraction is a rule.
Wait. If I said
Yeah,
nothing, wait a second.
I agree that. Yeah.
Even if I said nothing, I can still be interpreted.
See, let's say even silence is considered my saying something.
Yes.
So
Okay,
I
Prayas, I have an interesting question for you. Can silence be refracted?
Yeah, so that's what Satya is saying that somebody can, I mean, can interpret my
Yeah.
words beyond the linguistic construct of the words.
Okay.
Yeah, and I can actually manipulate with silence too.
Yeah, I mean, what you don't say, of course, matters more than what you say.
Yeah, I really would love to hear an example of manipulating silence.
I mean, it's very, if you read the stupid Mars Venus books about women and their so-called cold, cold shoulders, that's an example, a stupid example.
Sorry, I didn't hear get that example.
And
Yeah.
yeah, but
So you're saying that gender stereotypes, I mean, any kind of
yeah,
stereotype.
yeah. I mean, there are these very basic, stupid, Tanya, I'm
Yeah.
repeating,
Yeah.
where women are supposed, or whatever, one person gives a cold shoulder to the other person, and that is a way
Right.
of sending a message, right?
Right.
Which could be misinterpreted, it could be interpreted however you want.
Right.
So that's an example of silence being,
A
Ah,
manipulation.
right. That's interesting, actually. So it's the implied, basically.
yeah,
Silence in this case would be an unsaid implication or a reception of.
The anchor would like to intervene that we have discussed each of our three questions for 20 minutes each, and now we can either conclude our broadcast or talk about
I just
anything
wanted to.
which is beyond these questions.
So can we say that right now, currently in Srinagar, the entire city has been refracted by the over flooding?
Hmm. How would it be? How is it refracted?
ये ऊपर करना है शीशा.
How is it refracted? How is Srinagar refracted?
Because the whole city has sort of been displaced, no? So is that an act of refraction? And the refractor in this case would be the over flooding of Jhelum.
No, I mean, then I would just be making the word too broad in,
But I thought we
you
were
know,
I
talking in
think
the
we're
broadest
talking
of
of
terms.
no. I think we're talking of refraction
Shisha,
in terms
please.
of a perspective and
yeah.
in relation to one's own experience. So if you want to talk of the flood in terms of a refraction, then it's certainly a refraction for each of the people who are there right now and
Right,
experiencing it.
right.
But I don't think it's possible to really speak of it in that kind of larger universal. Maybe it
Right.
is, you know.
Well, I thought that no, because for a second I forgot that we're talking about individual refraction. Because the way we've been discussing refraction has almost become a third person sort of meta.
yeah, which is what we are attempting not to let it become because,
Which is why I was trying to situate it in like my here and now, which would be something that I was reading about today.
right. But in the here and now, I think the only refraction happening is when you read about that news in Srinagar.
Right.
and what you make of it,
Hmm.
and the picture make in your head,
Hmm.
but what's actually happening there.
Right, it's interesting because I was in Srinagar in May, and now what I have read has refracted my sort of memory of Srinagar.
Yeah, it's just been like this very corrosive kind of news. It's like we like to think of Srinagar as this, very it's clamped down and maybe peaceful by force, by so yeah, refraction could be corrosive in the here and now.
Hmm. So there's just one last question I have. So what happens like diffracted
Yeah, I couldn't hear you very clearly. Your voice was breaking, but
Yeah, it sounded
Yeah,
very musical actually.
yeah,
is it more audible now? Is it clear?
yeah,
Yeah, now it's fine.
yeah.
Yeah, it's because my speaker has fallen. I was talking about like so we're presupposing that refraction is a rule, refraction is an underlying principle. So then what we are continuously experiencing the whole in fragments. Does anyone have to say anything about fragmentation?
So fragmentation of the self is what we considered to be a rule also, and
Hmm.
in terms of we thought of acting and refraction to be related.
Right.
So refraction causes fragments to, in that sense, persist, and we spoke about that. So with this, I think we conclude our broadcast here,
Okay.
and we meet again tomorrow at 7 p.m.
Okay. Bye
and we'll
everyone.
post
Bye
questions
bye.
for tomorrow. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.